share your experience in aviation, your story?
Well, my story is, well, probably I can write a book with a story, because it is a story that started in South America, flying basically in Peru, where there were some opportunities in the past. So that is why I started to fly there. I flew almost all the Cessnas, Beechcraft, Pipers, and any airplane, Islander, any airplane that you can imagine, in a big aerotaxi company there from charters, and flew like probably around 7 years or 8 years, mountain operation and icing conditions, etc. And from there, I had the opportunity to go into the major airline there, flying first as a flying engineer. So I worked as flying engineer in the 727, then went into the 727 as first officer, 737 as captain, then 757, 767 as first officer, then as captain in 320. And I flew the 320 in Latin America, well, actually all America, from Canada to Argentina. Then I flew for a short period of time also in Indonesia. And then I became instructor and examiner in the UK. So I changed and moved around, and then ended up in the UK doing my training, my license, getting the examiner and instructor ratings from the 320. And then I went into Welling to become the head of training. So I was involved in the recruitment of pilots and training of pilots and flight attendants for 6 years. And then I came to this company, which is Volotea. In all that period, I helped to develop 4 new projects. And my hobby was to get some ratings and studies. So in the same time, I was studying at the university and got a degree and 3 master's degree, and I'm now involved in a doctoral process also. So yeah, I always involved in aviation and in management. Yes.
What would be your advice for a person looking for a job? Because we see this your very successful, unbelievable career. What would you advise for the young pilots?
Well, if you don't have a type rating, I would advise them to look for the website of Baltica, which is something very useful for pilots, because you can get a lot of information on the type ratings, line training, and everything that you can get, which is something completely new for Spain. It gives you a door, an open door to and a broad opportunity of things out of Spain that do not exist now. So my advice will be just to contact your organization, which I think is one of the most professional I have seen, and look for advice on the future possibilities. I know that your organization has many contacts that can help, even myself in the south of Europe and some other pilots with experience around the world. So I think that could be a good move for a young pilot to get a good advice. If he wants to get a job, I think it's important to get the right type rating. It is very expensive, everything now, unfortunately, for pilots. So you have to be careful on where you invest your money and what type of airplane you invest your money. So you need to get the right and the correct advice, not just going, to the forums and internet, because there are many information that is not good. You have to go to the right persons. So that will be my advice.
If you manage to get in the interview, job interview, how to succeed there?
Well, it is not a straight answer, because it will depend on the airline you are applying to. For example, in Spain, we normally do a list of exams, all the airlines, like for instance psychometric and aviation knowledge, etc. Some of the airlines, like Vueling and Volotea, you need to go through a screening in a simulator. And some of them are only interview process, like for instance Singapore Airlines, that we see a big airline, they only do an interview and they put you into a simulator, or that was some time ago, but that was the process you had to go. So it depends on the airline. If you go to Emirates, I know that it's like 3 days, very complex process, so you have to be prepared for that. So my advice will be to ask people who have been through that airline, a specific airline. First, ask the airline to see if they can provide you with the information. You are going to take this and this exam, so at least you know and you can prepare yourself. And if you cannot get this information, at least try to contact pilots that have been through the process and ask them about what to be what should you prepare for the interview, no? But in general, my advice will be to be prepared for everything. That means study all the time, not only when you are going to do an interview. A pilot should study always, so that way you will be prepared. You need to have a standard level of English. If you don't have at least a standard level of English, don't go. Just prepare yourself first and then go and take the interview. Never go to an interview if you are not prepared, because that's an opportunity that maybe will be closed for the next time, no? Just take the interview. Because of that, that will probably close you the door in the future for that airline. So just go when you are prepared.
From your work, 6 years in Vueling in hiring, do you remember at least one case when personality paid a lot, and you chose the person maybe with the same skills and English level, but with personality issues?
There are many personalities. I remember in 2007 that we need approximately 100 pilots because we were growing very, very fast. And we interviewed during the year 1,000 applicants. It was probably the record. So we received applications from all around Europe, and we interviewed many people with different personalities. And of course, sometimes you see some personalities which are, you say, okay, well, this personality is pretty good for us. The problem is that you need to be good in all the stages of the interview process, of the application process, because it's not good if you only have a good personality, but at the same time your English is low, or your aviation skills are not good, or your knowledge is not correct. You have to be, I think, standard in everything, instead of being just above standard in some of the things and below standard on the others.
And what's the standard for the personality?
Well, it depends on the airline. We normally do in our airline a kind of a screening process. It's like a survey for the pilots who are in the company that we think are the best pilots for us in terms of attitude and everything. So what we did in the past was to give them a survey. So they take a lot of questions, answers, and then after that we said, okay, this is the attitude that we need for a pilot. So you usually use the help of professionals in this, psychologists or the human resource department, depending on the size of your airline, and they should do like a profile where all pilots should be in. So then you go to the pilots and ask them the questions, and there should be between these boundaries of what you think is a standard attitude for you. So there will be airlines, probably in some part of Asia, that you need a more, let's say, military attitude. Airlines where the pilot must do exactly what the airline says, and you have the boundaries very, narrow. And there are some other airlines with more, wider boundaries. So it will depend on the airline. It will depend on the airline. For instance, for a low-cost company, as the one I used to fly for the last years, it is important that you have an attitude of a pilot who wants to help the airline to succeed. So you cannot have a pilot from the old school that just wants to do his job and then go home and that's it. I don't care about the airline. I just want them to pay me this and that. So that type of attitude is not good for low cost. So for a low cost will be an attitude of, okay, what is happening? I will call my boss to tell him, I suggest we change this because we are delaying on those flights. We are having problems with the fuel on this. Why don't we do this on that? So that type of attitude is the one we look for in this type of airlines.
Okay, great. So wish you the best candidates.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Bye.